Hey guys, HaloTheorist back here with my sixth podcast. Today I have my good friend from high school, Stefan. And today what we're going to be talking about is how Xbox used to force people from party chat into game chat during early games like Modern Warfare 2 and early Halo games like Lone Wolves and things like that. And why I want to talk about this today is because a lot of games and a lot of interaction that we saw between people that were playing the original Xbox or I would say the Xbox 360 didn't have to do what we do today, or they had to do actually what we did today, and that is they had to interact with the people that they were playing with in certain game modes. And so I just want to kind of talk about that and see how things are going, but I'm going to hand it off to Stefan here really quick.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad to finally be on one of your podcasts. And I'm really looking forward to talking about this topic because it's something that I think is very crucial, and I feel very genuine about it just because I made a lot of friends and stuff this way, and I'd like other people nowadays to experience what I experienced back then. So,
No, and I have a very similar feeling as like you're saying right now. So let's get into it. How do you feel about this? I mean, early on in the days, I don't know if you remember playing games like Modern Warfare 2, like I said, or uh, Halo 3, or even a few other games. Xbox, what they would do was before you could enter into a match, even if you were in a lobby with the people that you were going into the match with and in an Xbox Live party, you would actually be kicked out of that party, or the game would not let you join until you removed yourself from that party with your friends. And with this, again, when it's more of a lone wolf setting, I find it kind of better than it would be with groups. But what I mean by that is that when you're playing lone wolves or by yourself, a lot of the people that you interact with and a lot of the interactions that we don't see anymore today on Xbox were through, and very early on, like the Golden Age, we're through this method of going through game chat, whether it was lone wolves or games and stuff, before the party chat really became a thing. And a lot of people don't like that forced interaction and have a lot of things against it, which I'll bring up here in a minute of kind of what they're saying or what it is. But on the positive end of things, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed looking back at it now what it did. I mean, despite all of the trash talking, despite all of the annoying mic stuff and things that we'll bring up here in a little bit, it really feel like it fueled the golden age of Xbox and forced people to clash together in a way that we don't see anymore. And what I mean by that especially is with the party chats that we use nowadays. I mean, when I get on Xbox, I know usually when I get on Xbox with you, before we even get into a game, which it is a great feature, we go into a party and
yeah.
then we kind of talk about what we're going to do. We talk about what game we're going to play or how we're going to play it and stuff like that, kind of set up what we're doing, which is great. And I feel like that's what party chat should be utilized for.
Yeah.
But once we're in game, there were a lot of things that I don't like the party chat for, like things I don't like about it, and the idea that you and I can be segregated from the whole rest of the team that might be trying to relay important information to us, whether it be information of other team's position, or that they died or something like that. I mean, there were a lot of crucial factors that played into it, which I'll go into here in a minute. But Stefan, I'll let you say your piece. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, to go back on what you were saying kind of in the beginning is like I I think it's an absolutely crucial part of gaming and like where it started anyways. And I think that's what really made so many memories back then is that like when I was playing Halo, I mean, going into a lobby and hearing everybody like talk about like where they got their gear or how they got it in the campaign or anything like that, like the achievements and stuff like that. It was a place to where like when you join the lobby, you're going to have interactions with people and you can see the mics moving and all that kind of stuff and you're like great, like I'm going to trash talk some people, all this kind of stuff. But the other really good thing about it is that it allows you to meet people that you would have never met before, which it is good to have a party chat. I will definitely say that, if you are playing a game, maybe you're playing, just something team orientated, anything, then I think it's good to have a party chat. That way, you guys are all in sync and everything like that. And it usually sounds a little bit better than the in-game chats, which never really in any game kind of sound that great. But to be able to join a lobby and hear a random person's voice and you have no idea who they are, I mean, it just gives you this. I don't even know really how to describe it. Just it allows people who can't normally talk to people, say either in person or something like that, to reach out and to be able to talk to different people and make new friends rather than talking to the same people, which, like I said, is a good thing, but to be able to reach people that they would have never been able to talk to before and make a connection in a way that, you know, maybe they can't do in person and things like that. And I really think it's something that should be brought back, just because there's no games that do that anymore. No one forces you to be in a lobby and talk to strangers or, you know, anything like that. But I think there's valid reason for that as well. A lot of people, they just kind of use it as a way to talk down to people. And in games now anyways, nobody really tries to make friends or anything like that. They're just like, I'm going to play with who I'm playing with, and that's it.
So yeah, going off what you're saying on that, you know, especially with the interconnections between people, and I really kind of, as you were saying that, was thinking about my time back in, you know, really 2007 onward, where I was able to meet people that I normally would have never been able to meet, you know, just through a voice on Xbox. And I mean, like, that's all you know people as, is that
Yep.
voice on Xbox. That's
Yeah.
you know, some people you only used to know on Xbox. And yeah, nowadays people make them, but the rate and the number of which you make them, I haven't made a Xbox only friend in like a long time. I mean, short of through the stuff on the channel, on the Halo channel, I have not made an Xbox only friend where I met them in a lobby like that in a long, long time. But I can still remember some of the gamer tags of my best friends that I
Yeah.
used to play with.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, if at one point the Arbiter dude hears this, I swear I am looking for you. I still have the same gamer tag. It's still 6flages117 for everybody who wants it to. It's still the same thing. I never changed it. Please get back on. I God, man, those people, and there are memes about it even today where it's like, you know, when your old Halo 3 buddies never get back on.
Yeah.
You know, I can almost guarantee that it's maybe not that they never got back on, it's that they switched accounts or something. And what sucks is that, you know, we don't get to make new friends like that. We don't get to make memories like that anymore because of what you're saying. And like you're saying, definitely with the shy people or the people that aren't able to do that, it was something that kind of also struck a note with me, because I wouldn't say struck a note, it was really negative, but kind of rang a bell in my head, was that they're not able to make those kind of connections in normal places. You know, the physical connection, them being nervous and stuff. Some of the most relaxed places that people like that can be are on Xbox, are on video games, and the fact that then they have a microphone and they can choose when to talk, they can choose when to say something, and on top of everything, it can be something that they enjoy, something that they're comfortable in, not a setting or an environment where they don't want to be there. Because forcing someone to be somewhere they don't want to isn't going to make them do that. And yes, a lot of it now, you know, if we try to bring people into game chat, like you were saying, is probably going to be negative. I mean, the whole Xbox thing, the I guess the idea of it now is that if you're in game chat, like, what are you doing in game chat? Like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
just asking to get shot down. You're kind of just asking for stuff to happen, and is viewed negatively, when before people were probably saying the same, if not even like worse things to each other then, but we viewed it
Yeah.
like, oh man, dude, like, he's trash talking you, man. You better step up your game. And like, that, you
Exactly.
know, Modern
Exactly.
Warfare 2 Rush, you know, like, one v one, whatever. Like, you're like, that's our settling ground.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how
I
we
mean,
did things. And
yeah. You're like, okay,
yeah,
well, it's time to 1v1 or anything like that.
yeah, you
Yeah.
get called out, man. Halo, Modern Warfare, anything. Like, you're
Yeah.
like, oh man, like, all right, let's go prove our skills, man. If you
Yep.
lost, you lost. If you
Yep.
won, you won. And now, I mean, now people still do that, but I mean, like, they're the people that do that still are looking for that challenge. You know,
Yeah.
they miss that challenge. Their competitiveness is that high on a level. And where I kind of want to go from there is why necessarily what we're talking about might not work again, and what might kind of suck about it, because a lot of people have some very negative points about it. I mean, I look through forum pages all the time, whether it's through like Reddit or like Halo Waypoint or even like other game like Call of Duty forums, and it's really just kind of people saying like game chat is more of a hassle than it's worth. Nobody wants to deal with the people screaming and
Yeah.
buzzing and all the stuff that's going on. But I mean, even now in games, they still have the mute feature, and Modern Warfare 2 had a one-click mute button where they could just mute everybody at once if you really wanted to do that. But the simple fact was, it also gave you the ability to individually pick who you wanted to mute as well. And a lot of people also say that the forcing the gamers to do something they don't want to won't go well. But I mean, that's kind of like how it started, if that makes sense. Like this is how everything started. This was as much as it sucked, it was kind of like a trial by fire. You really enjoyed playing with your friends, and if you didn't want to get caught in a lobby where you're playing good and people are trash talking you and you can't trash talk defend yourself, what do? You go grab some of your friends who
Yeah.
are like awesome trash talkers and you let them come in and help you out. Like
Exactly.
the community and the friendship level you build with people, like you're saying, you don't even know,
Yeah.
was just outstanding. And
Yeah.
I feel, and what I kind of want to move to, which I think I'll hand it over to you. I sent you a link kind of talking about some of this, where Microsoft is wanting to clean up the Xbox game chat with AI,
Yeah.
with a sort of like a, I guess, like a filter AI, and I feel like that could actually be really detrimental for what we're talking about right now and what can happen. So I'll kind of pass that off to you again to kind of talk about what you think this AI thing is going to do and what it could mean for what's going on, because it was very recent. It was on the 15th of October that came out.
Yeah, and reading over this article, I mean, it's really interesting because basically what they're wanting to do is release something that kind of filters almost everything you do, whether it's in a text chat to somebody or in a voice chat or anything like game chat part. I mean, anything where you're talking to another player. I mean, it's wanting to sift through all the information that's being said or anything like that. And what really sucks about this is that they're almost saying you don't have a freedom of speech when you're playing on any kind of platform like this, and they're saying they have the right to go through all that information, everything that you're saying to the person, and regulate it basically, just to make sure that basically nobody is getting bullied online or nobody is harassing somebody or anything like that. And which it has its good and the bad. It's going to protect people from sharing information with the wrong people, so people don't get their IP address or anything like that. But it sucks because you might be able to joke around with somebody or something like that, and they could do it back to you, but then all of a sudden that person could get banned, just because they're joking around. And it's because it's an AI and nobody's actually going through it and reading it. So if it takes it in a negative way, then that person, maybe they get chat restricted and you don't talk to that person anymore, something like that.
Yeah, and you're just out of luck.
Yeah.
And see, this is something that actually recently has been, I'm not going to say plaguing the YouTube community, but something that has been very, very, I mean, it's disturbing the YouTube community. I don't know if you've heard of COPPA, I think is how they're pronouncing it, COPPA. Have you heard of that yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, so COPPA, the Child Online Protection and Privacy Act, I think is what it is an act that is being, I guess, enacted here soon, and YouTube is doing it where the content creators who make anything that even appeal to kids are not allowed to make, like, do certain stuff, like, are not allowed to make money off of targeted ads on their videos and
Yep.
stuff, and
Yeah.
that's huge revenue for content creators.
Yeah, exactly.
And things like that for people that want to make YouTube and stuff a career. And I mean, that falls into myself, and I didn't even expect to talk about this, but with what you were saying, yeah, this really plays into it as well. Things like that, Microsoft is turning to AI to do this. And if it's anything like YouTube's AI, for anyone who's been banned or had anything to deal with YouTube, I mean, it could just be entirely one-sided and like almost bureaucratic, where we're stuck just dealing with what this AI does. And people like myself, who's had an account, for 15 years now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've
get
got all your old
banned.
achievements
Yeah.
and everything on there.
Yeah,
all
I
your
could
old
just get
memories.
banned
Exactly.
and be done. It could be permanently done.
Exactly.
I mean, it could be doing that. And yes, like there are things now where they're saying there's going to be four levers of filtering, from child friendly to entirely unfiltered. But to think that, at some point or another, there could become an instance where it's like how it is on YouTube. I mean, I feel like that would just entirely divide and destroy the gaming, like, not community, but like the gaming as we used to know it. Like, it was a kind of a rite of passage to play with your friends and to get on their team and to win with them. Like, that forges bonds like no other, I guess, system had before, for people who didn't play things like sports, or for people who didn't go into team building events, for people that were just kind of on their own. They were able to do that in their own way, because in my personal opinion, people kind of need to be their mettle tested a little bit. They kind of need to see internally, they need to meet some struggle in order to grow properly. And if you can meet struggle with friends, or if you have to kind of struggle to make a friend on Xbox, I'm like I'm saying, it's what we talked about earlier. It's a comfortable scenario, or a comfortable environment that kids or people are able to go into that usually maybe in the real world aren't able to do that, and make a friend, and then go through that kind of, I guess, that rite of passage, that trial by fire that I feel, again, made the golden age Xbox years that so many people miss. Because I don't think it's just games like Halo 2 and Halo 3 and Halo Reach and stuff like that people miss. I think it's the type of interaction that players had with each other. And this is
Oh,
going to kind of
absolutely,
start bringing
absolutely, yeah.
things back to Halo, and talk about individual things of maybe like why it wouldn't be a good idea to, or why wouldn't be a good idea to just keep the party chat the way that it is, and to just let you go into any situation with this, but to rather force people into the game chat for bigger games. And I mean, you and I, we played games like Warzone and whatnot. In Warzone with Halo 5, you need to capture the bases, kind of like Battlefield, but then you're also able to attack certain groups, like certain high value targets that give you more credits for or give you more points for your team in order to win. And a lot of time, if it's just you and me communicating outside of the team, and I'm like, hey, Stefan, I'm going to go try to kill that high value target. Well, you and I both know that those high value targets aren't necessarily easy to kill. They're not really one man jobs.
Yeah.
They're meant for your team, like a smaller group, squad, or strike team to go over there and do that. But if we're limited in the party chat, and I say that to you, and I go over there and I continuously die and stuff, that makes it not very fun for me. But had I said it on game chat, while there is a possibility of no one joining, it does then open up the possibility of someone actually going over there to try to help me and
Yeah.
work more as a team.
Yeah, rather than, having somebody watch you go over there and die maybe 6 or 7 times and then finally joining you and they're like, okay, I'm catching on to what he's doing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the communication, the verbal communication is why game chat and why voice communications in games as early as Halo 2 was created. And I know that you're a little bit more rehearsed with like games like Call of Duty and stuff and Search and Destroy. I mean, how would that affect things like that? Like, how do you think that would translate over not just Halo but other games as well?
I think it would be an enormous difference because half the time when you get in a lobby, everybody either doesn't want to talk to you or they're already in some kind of party chat so they can't hear what you're saying even if you're like asking them for help or like trying to tell them, oh, there's a guy over here, or oh, there's an objective of some kind that you're not going to, and maybe they don't know they're supposed to go to it or anything like that, and you're trying to help them. They have no way of knowing because they can't hear you. And what's unfortunate really about it is that there's how do you put it? There's no real way to do that right now. There's no way to make people go into the game chat like there used to be. And I think that there should be an option or maybe even a game type, like just one specifically where it automatically puts anybody that's joining into the game chat and just see how it goes. Maybe they don't do it for everything. Maybe they only do it one game mode, or maybe they only do it on the weekends, or something like that where everybody has to go into the game chat and just see, okay, is this working out? Is everybody fighting too much or anything like that? And rather than doing it all at once and making it so throughout the whole game everybody has to go into a game chat, then in games like Halo or in Call of Duty, then where it's all segregated, they could test it out. And I think it would make a really big difference because people would start playing like team, as a team more rather than playing individually and just going for kills or not necessarily going for objectives and trying to win the game like it used to be very objective orientated back in the day.
Yeah,
You're
and
playing
now it's
capture the flag
so
and everybody's
individualized.
yeah, yeah,
You're
exactly.
right. Because when I get on by myself, if no one's on, I'm just playing for kills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, continue, please. But yeah, that is what I do. Like that really is. Yes, I want to win the game, but I view that winning the game a lot of the time is by getting a lot of kills, from one end to another. But yeah, please continue. That's so true with what you're saying. It's so true for me, and I hope that everyone else who's listening to this feels the same way, at least in some sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who usually plays the ranked game types, in Halo, I always played ranked. I never really played the social ones unless I was playing custom games or something like that. Or in Call of Duty, they have a league, or in League of Legends, a computer game, they have a ranked system. In any game where there's a ranked system, that's always what I've done. And to be in a party with somebody that's not talking to you or can't even hear what you're saying has got to be one of the most frustrating things while playing the game that there can be. If you need help and nobody can hear you, it's like you're just talking to a brick wall. And then a lot of the time people get frustrated because nobody's talking or anything like that and there's no communication, so then people leave and then you're at a severe disadvantage, and it's incredibly frustrating for sure.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I'm actually, believe it or not, one of the people that kind of stay more away from the competitive game type. Like, yes, I like playing it with my close friends, always because like I'm really like a nervous, anxious person. But like you're saying earlier, with implementing it slowly, I find that funny that you say that, and I didn't really think about maybe the idea of implementing it through certain game types would be a good idea, especially starting with the ranked game types, because ranked game types, competitive ones, are where it really kind of matters to people like yourself who want to do that in games. And in Halo, breakout and teams and even a bigger community probably surrounding it that like to do that could be formed by new people getting into breakouts, starting new teams, meeting new people. I mean, when you're playing individual, I guess I used to call individual play in a ranked team based game against probably another team that's all in a party, or even if probably never happens, but all in game chat, it makes it not fun. Like it
Yeah.
makes it, especially if you're having the same thing happen to you over and over again, instead of necessarily targeting something at, oh, well, this game sucks. If you're in game chat and everyone's talking to you and stuff, then you kind of view more like, oh, well, my teammates suck.
Yeah.
And that mentality kind of switches. And while it might not be good or bad, what it still does for games as a whole is it keeps the idea of the game being fun still alive and people liking it. Not that we shouldn't judge games appropriately for how fun they are, but more so that just because we're losing doesn't mean the game isn't fun. And even if we are losing and we're able to communicate with a teammate on a team that's losing that's still doing okay, just like yourself, you might still be like, you want to know what, that guy's at least pretty good. Yeah, we lost, but I think I'm going to friend him on Xbox, or I think I'm going to friend him because he's still pretty good, and I'd like to maybe invite him sometime later. And that's how things, again, used to be.
Yeah, and
So,
that's
yeah.
something that's for me is really crucial because like say you don't have, one of your close friends on. Say I want to play but you're not online. Then I have nobody to invite because I haven't been talking to anybody, and I don't even have the chance to talk to anybody because nobody is in game chat. So I mean, of course you could always add people based on how good they do or anything like that, but then maybe you do talk to the person once every week or something like that, and you realize maybe I don't like this guy, I don't want to play with him. Then who you don't have anybody to play with, and that's the part about video games that I've always really enjoyed, is that you can play with so many people and meet so many different players, and everybody is always so much alike, I feel. And that's what's really awesome, like to put it in the simplest terms, is it's awesome that so many people that play video games are so much alike, and it allows people to build a connection that would otherwise not necessarily introduce itself. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
like early
It's
social media. It was the
yeah,
idea that was kind of
exactly.
wrapped in it, and why I think early games like Halo 2 did so well
Yeah.
because they
That's
made a
exactly where I was trying to
huge
go with that.
multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge multiplayer. And then they added the ability to message and communicate via voice chat.
Yeah, and
And
games
oh yeah.
nowadays, I mean, they don't even they don't last, say, longer than 6 months because nobody's talking in the game. You're always playing by yourself. There's no one ever to interact with. I mean, of course, you could look stuff up online, like, how do I do this? How do I do this? But in older games, you would ask somebody who's playing, be like, hey,
Yeah,
can you
you would
help me
ask
with
someone
this?
in the lobby. Like
Yeah.
instead of now going and messaging someone privately, like, "Hey, how did you get that? This or that?" You used to just be like, "Hey, whoever," like called out their gamer tag and would say, "How did you do that?" And he's like, "Hey, yeah, like, got to figure it out yourself, buddy," or like they would say something.
Yeah.
Either like they would say, "I don't know," but again, that's just an interaction with another person, and the interactions between people is so crucial now. In order for game developers to have like I guess a quote unquote good game, not only does it have to be good for party play, but it has to be good with the individual. And this will kind of go on to more or less like some of my final things I wanted to say as we're approaching 30 minutes here or so. The games that we play today are, yes, better graphic looking wise, game engine looking wise, and things like that, but something that they don't capture as well. And I feel like that really would bring the nostalgic feeling back. And I don't really like to use that word, but it really does accurately describe how I felt back in those days playing games when I was that young. What games they don't capture are that sense of being able to meet new people, that sense of everything being foreign to you and meeting new people on Xbox Live, and them kind of not having, not, they're not forced to be nice to you, but if someone's on Xbox and they're playing a game and you're on Xbox and you're playing a game, you're kind of probably going to be nice to each other, especially if you're on the same team. Now, yeah, eventually, it's say like, "Hey, man, you're trash." Like, some people can't take criticism like that, but
Yeah.
Myself, even though I'm anxious and whatnot, I'm like, "Oh, really? Like, you think I'm like trash?" I quickly check
Yeah.
that scoreboard real quick. I'm
Yeah.
like, "All right, who said it and where the hell are they at?" Because I
I
need to
mean,
check
for
that out. Like, I got so with someone, and I'm an anxious and like a nervous person all
yeah.
the time, and I
And for
do
people
that.
that
Yeah.
take it in, even say they take it in the wrong way, I mean, for those people, that's why they make mute buttons. You know, people that can't stand people that are loud or that are constantly putting other people down or, anything like that, like in the game. I mean, that's what a mute button's for. So, I mean, if you can't take it or you think it's obnoxious or anything like that, then yeah, go ahead and mute that person. And that's, that's what it's there for, rather than going through and listening or watching what everybody's typing and something like that, and then just instantly making it to where that person can't type anymore. You can't hear that person ever again, or something like that. I mean, because that's kind of where it's going, and it's really unfortunate, and I hate to say it, but I don't think people will ever experience video games the way we did growing up.
Yeah, I mean, unless through what we're saying here is kind of implemented and heard. I mean, in no game more would I like it to be implemented first again in game would be Halo, because Halo is where voice chat in game. I mean, obviously not just PC and whatnot, but like through Xbox on the consoles, like really started. That's where as it says Xbox Live enabled on like even the cover of Halo 2
Yeah.
is there. And to have people, I mean, that didn't just kind of go on for a year or two, man. That dragged all the way into Halo 3 until they started implementing party chat.
Yeah.
And I would like them to kind of go back into it. I mean, even if it's just in that sense of just some game types, like you said, just some things, like you said, and just see how it goes. Maybe even in the search preferences, preference only people that have game chat on. Because what you're going to do is you're going to fuel a community again for a game that is going to keep giving back. Like the file share of Halo 3 and stuff, those weren't necessarily the revolutionary features in games. But what it did do, because people were talking, they'd be like, "Hey man, check out, it's on my file share. Like, you want this map, you want this game type, it's here. You can have it." I share it there, I put it there, and I do stuff there to show other people what I'm doing, and all of that was feeding into the interactions between players and didn't necessarily force the game itself to be good for just an individual player, even though it kind of is, especially when game chat is the only thing available. Because once they start talking, you can't view everybody in the world or on Xbox as bad, even though a lot of them might be. There are players that are good. There are things that are different, and they will be able to get a new group. Start something that they're comfortable with in an environment that they definitely enjoy, and make them enjoy that game even more, because that's the game that you share with those players, and will keep people coming back to it and doing stuff, compared to now where the game has to be fun for an individual that they know is going to be in a party chat, that they know is going to kind of be closed off, and if they are playing with friends, they're probably going to be in a party chat with friends. Like they're not going to be in the game chat. So I'll hand it off to you for the last little bit here. If there's anything else you want to say on it, man, I really feel like this was a good topic and one that I wanted to touch on for a while. Something I'm definitely passionate about, and feel like this was something that, if it is implemented, it might not be liked at first by everybody, especially the people that have never had to or never experienced the golden age of, or what we call the golden age of Xbox in the years that were there. But as it progresses and it becomes like a new norm, I think that both players and game developers will appreciate it again. So,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would like nothing more than to see something like this come back and have a very big presence in the gaming world, just because there's a reason why there's so many people that always talk about, Halo 2, Halo 3, Modern Warfare 2. It's because when you go back and you think about all the times that you had, I mean, you were never really just you and your friends. It was always you, your friends in real life, and all the people that you've met playing the game. People inviting you, people sending messages, people just going back and forth through the game. And that's what, like you were saying, that's what really builds the community around the games and makes it last, and makes the experience so much better. And unfortunately nowadays it just seems like games are just more driven towards individual playing almost. I mean, even though there's multiplayer, a lot of stuff, it either tells you how to do it by yourself or never really makes you do anything with anybody else. And I don't think that's really how video games necessarily should be shared. I mean, that's why people make videos, and that's why people always have discords and things like that, because games are really meant to be played with somebody else. I mean, it doesn't matter if you know the person or you don't. I mean, it makes it more enjoyable, in my opinion anyways.
I feel that playing games, the only way to play games now is with friends, and part of why I started the YouTube channel was because I want everyone that listens to the podcast that enjoys Halo and stuff to know that if you want to be part of a group, feel free to add me. That's why I have no problem showing my gamer tag and things like that in videos, is because I try to get to messaging everybody. I try to show everyone that Xbox and Halo and things like that are still fun, and it's meant to be enjoyed with friends. You shouldn't enjoy your favorite video game and stuff alone. They're whether it is a single player game or a multiplayer game, games are meant to be shared. Games are meant to be shown to other people and are meant to interact with and have different experiences with, all the while having a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And to leave it off, and I mean, this is totally a different topic that I could go on about for a while, but I really hope that if they do implement something where it's AI based, it doesn't get to the point to where YouTube is going, where the content creators and the people that are publishing these good videos are getting punished by people that are sending spam messages or putting things in the comments, where it's getting the content creator in trouble over something that they really can't control. Where I could see something like that happening in the Xbox forum, where people are sending messages and say they're derogatory or anything like that, that it may end up getting somebody in trouble who didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, especially with the communications in chat
Yeah.
and party chat and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah,
we know that the
exactly.
YouTube AI is less than desirable a lot of the time. So,
So just hopefully it never goes that far in that direction as far as Xbox goes, and I really hope they bring something back that allows people to come closer together in the gaming community, just in game, and that's what you're focusing on, not in a party chat talking about something else rather than what you're actually playing.
yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much, man, for jumping on this podcast. I know I asked you last minute, and we kind of had to come up with a different, sort of a different topic, but I really did enjoy this topic, especially talking about it with you because I know that you're one of the ranked players, and like I remember all the way back when League came out, like we played League. I mean, we still even jump back to Halo 3, I think. Like, when we didn't have a game that we shared, we're like,
Yeah.
screw it, let's just go play
Yeah.
Halo 3 team doubles. And, like, we still won and kicked ass there. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was great. And I think, again, that just is going to speak volumes to the whole conversation we had about that. And so thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for talking to me about this topic. I hope you enjoyed coming on
Oh
and getting
yeah,
to talk to me
absolutely.
about this. I really would like to have you back again at some point here in the future. Obviously, if this continues going on better and better, maybe I'd like to stream this live and things like that to interact with users maybe on YouTube or Twitch or something like that. But thank you so much for joining. And if there's any last things you want to say, feel free to go with it now.
Yeah, I'm happy you had me on here, and I'd really like in the future to be able to talk to other people, at me and you, and just have other people in the conversation, because I feel like a lot of these topics that you go on, even with your other podcasts, that when I'm watching it, I'm like, man, I really wish I could have said something in between there, or input something in there rather than just in the comments or something like that. So I think in the future, having maybe a live stream or having a call with 4 or 5 people in there would be something really cool.
Yeah, I definitely will look to do and possibly something like that in the future. But thank you guys so much for listening into this podcast. It's our sixth podcast again, and we'll definitely be coming out with a few more as we learn or as we move on over here to the end of the year. I will probably start my Road to Infinite, Halo Infinite podcast where we talk about more things Halo and continue on with that. And for all of you that are possibly interested, I'm going to be doing a 24-hour live stream here as we get close to Christmas, as well as a longer giant, I wouldn't say giant group, but group podcast with multiple people featuring a number of the people that I've had on my podcast before. So make sure to look out for those guys as we get closer here towards holidays and whatnot. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.